Hi there. Welcome to lesson number 2 in the Ace the WAT series. In this session, I'm going to talk about the ideal WAT plan, right? In the last video, if you haven't checked it out, do watch my video on what do WATs really test, right? What do they evaluate exactly? And that's something that I covered in my previous video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the ideal way of planning out your WAT, right? You're sitting in the room, you're geared up to write, attempt the WAT. You've been given a topic. How do you approach it, right? So that's something that I'm going to cover in this video. So do watch this video till the end, right? Where I'm going to talk about some interesting strategies. Yeah. Okay. My name is Anand Venkatesan. I'm an educator with Unacademy. I've done my engineering from VIT, Vellore, and then went on to do my postgrad from IIM Bangalore. I think in the past decade, I've had plenty of experience in helping students write the WATs, and WATs are something that I've really dealt with in quite some detail. Before I get into today's lecture, a quick word. Do follow us on social media, YouTube and Telegram. YouTube because a lot of content is being shared by our educators on our channel. That's Unacademy CAT4MBA. But a lot of these free courses will have notifications on a daily basis on our Telegram channel. That's also the handle CAT4MBA, right? So make sure that you follow us there. Before we get into exactly what the plan for a WAT should be, let's quickly recap what do we know about the WAT, right? We know it's literally an essay writing round. You'll be given a topic you're supposed to write. It's pretty important. There's 10 to 20% weightage for this round, so you must take it seriously. Don't rely only on the personal interview, right? How long is it? Anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes, maybe sometimes as much as 45 minutes, but the norm should be around 20 to 30 minutes. And in that much time, you are expected to construct roughly a 300 to 400 word essay, right? Sounds good. If it's a 20-minute essay, maybe about 300 words. If it's a 40-minute essay, maybe try to double that to about 500 words or so, right? So that's how much you need to line, right? It also helps if you can conceive of how many lines it is, because it's very difficult to count words. So if you tell yourself 20 minutes, I'm going to write 25 lines, maybe 30, and break that down into paragraphs that form various parts of my structure, just better to visualize. Helps you visualize your submission, right? Okay, so this is something we already know, right? Now, how do we plan this for the WAT round, right? So you're given a topic, the moderator comes, he announces the topic. Maybe now that it's going to happen online, probably you'll be given the topic on the screen, right? But the moment you see the topic and the timer has started running, here are the various steps you need to follow, right? First and foremost, devote 5 minutes not writing, right? The first 5 minutes in the WAT, I mean, you're not writing on the screen, but you're definitely taking notes, right? You will be given, a piece of rough paper and a pencil to make notes. Make sure that you utilize the first 5 minutes, right? What do you do in terms of planning? Well, look at the topic. Maybe once you write down the topic, identify the key hooks in that topic, right? Those important words that you can define and whose scope you can explore. Yeah. So plan that out. What are the perspectives you could possibly take, right? Number one. Number two, what are the possible stance that you could take? Or is it a pro versus a con approach that you're taking, right? Figure out what your approach is going to be. If it's not going to be a pro versus con, maybe it's going to be some other way of analyzing it. Maybe you'll say, hey, I already have a stance which is pro or against, but now I'm going to attack it from multiple perspectives, like politics, like socio-economic conditions, like legal aspects of the essay, of the topic, etc., right? Make sure that you plan it all out, and you also jot down what your key arguments could be. Yeah. Okay. So you've listed out at this stage. First 5 minutes, no holds barred, right? Think about as many things as you possibly can, right? At this stage, no limits, right? But then I think the big risk, and you should realize it, is that you come up with either too many ideas, means that you can't put all of it into an essay. Because if you do try to put too many arguments in an essay, it can just look unstructured, maybe ill-conceived, right? So which means that the very next step should be one of choosing. Hey, what do I write? Which are the main 2-3 arguments I'm going to make? Number 2, how do I make those arguments? What would be my plan for the essay, right? What stance am I going to take, and how do I, structure it from the introduction all the way till the conclusion? Do I follow a framework or not, right? So these are questions you want to ask yourself and answer in the next 2 minutes, right? So remember, I'm saying if it's a 20-minute essay, I am very confidently saying, please make sure that about 1/3, maybe 1/3, if you think it's too much time, you can maybe cut it short to 1/4, right? So 5 minutes in a 20-minute essay. Maybe 5 to 7 minutes are what I would recommend as time that you should devote in planning, and then deciding, right? Making a choice, saying, hey, I'm going to do this approach. I'm going to write only these 2 arguments, right? And I'm going to reiterate here, please do not try to write more than 3 arguments, right? 3 is the limit. In fact, even 3 should be avoided. Try to focus on 2 arguments. And why I say 2 arguments is that I would any day prefer that you write 2 arguments in detail, right? The more detailed the arguments, the more convincing and impactful they're going to be, right? So for that reason, focus on fewer arguments, make that choice, make that logical choice. What am I more confident about? Which arguments can I expand nicely? Make that choice and then start writing, right? Step number 3 is when you start writing your introduction and your main points in the essay. They should roughly take about 10 minutes, right? Do keep track of time because that's important, right? But and I say do keep track of time in the sense of I need to write about 5 to 6 paragraphs in 10 minutes. That means every paragraph should roughly take me about a minute to 2 minutes, right? And if you're taking more than that and you're trying to think more, then get a move on, right? Once you've written the main body of your essay and your introduction, make sure that you leave a couple of minutes at least to conclude, right? Now, conclusion is so important, it cannot be overstated here, right? Not only must it summarize your main arguments in the essay, it can possibly also throw up one of 2 things, right? Either it can throw up a supporting fact or evidence which you haven't presented thus far, or it could throw up a way forward or maybe suggestions that you have, right? Hey, this is something that that we can look at doing to assuage the problems or to counter the problems that I already foresee in my essay, right? So make sure that you have a roadmap for the future if you've been critical in your essay, right? And last but not the least, leave yourself at least 1 minute to go over your essay again. And this is important because some of the most silliest of mistakes happen because you're writing in a rush, right? Now, since we're writing very, very fast, it's quite likely you might make basic mistakes like, getting the spellings wrong, or maybe making grammatical mistakes, article missing here, maybe an extra article there, maybe, something which was supposed to be singular has now been written in plural, right? Make sure that you give yourself at least a minute to proofread your essay, check for spellings and grammar and vocabulary, right? Absolutely critical for you to do, right? And so that for me is the ideal plan for a WAT round, right? Make sure that you break down your 20 minutes. I know some of you might actually look at this plan and say it just is too structured. I don't like to think like it. I'm a free bird. I'd like to take it as it goes, and I don't mind that per se, right? So you don't have to go with the way I break up time, right? In fact, find your own way. Each one is individually different, correct? So maybe you won't take as much time planning, maybe somebody else will, right? So make sure that you figure out what your allotment should be like. But I think these steps are important. These choices that you're making, these steps that you're taking in the essay are going to be pretty important. So make sure that you don't miss out on any of these. And by the way, just before I sign off here, some things to keep in mind, very, very important, managing time, right? One of the biggest sort of imperatives is that do not run out of time. Make sure that you don't leave your essay incomplete, right? That's a strict no-no, right? I look at an essay and I find that it's missing a conclusion, poor impression, straight up, right? No chance of you getting selected. So make sure that you manage your time well. Number 2, right? We did talk about, how to write a WAT, but make sure that you practice this at home before you apply it on the actual D-Day, right? So make sure that you write regularly, and whatever you write, you practice the various steps that we talked about, including note making and planning, followed by that choice that you're making on what your stance and arguments are going to be like, followed by the writing part, both of the main essay as well as its conclusion, and then leaving yourself time for just that quick proofread, right? Practice by writing, practice by doing, right? And by the way, once you've written it, you will also realize where does it lack, right? What are the areas where I don't know enough, where my facts or my knowledge or my basis is falling short. And so do your research then, right? Make sure that you dig deep. Once you've written an essay on a topic, research on two fronts. One, basic broad based data, something like, the demographics of our country, the economy, numbers, both of population and various other statistics about business and even the world economy, right? So some basic data you should have, right? India's GDP, how much is it growing, what percentage of population are males, females, three upper class, middle class, and the lower middle, and in fact the lower class, right? So make sure that you are able to sort of split the demographics of our country, and yeah, use it in your essay, right? Some of these examples, like for example, I think it helps to know that India is blessed with something called a demographic dividend, right? Now this is something that's been doing the rounds for at least the last 3-4 years, right? The fact that more than 25% of our population is in that young age bracket of 18 to 25, 18 to 30 in fact, right? So the fact that we have a lot of people who are going to enter the workforce, and this constitutes a good 20 to 25% of our population, is something that is a very, very big boon for our economy. Because this, when you compare it to, a superpower like for example US or Japan or China, you will find that these are aging economies, because the average age of a person in these countries would be probably 35 plus, maybe even 45 plus, right? So demographic dividend, yeah? Just the fact that you know the stat, you know that information, that will be very, very useful to insert it in an essay, right? And number two, specifics, right? As you write, make sure that you choose a variety of topics, some on environment, some on legalities, some on politics, some on, the social evils in our country, etc., etc. And whenever you take a particular topic, once you've written your essay, make sure that you dig deep specifically on that topic. Say, for example, you're writing an essay on, education sector in India, right? So you must dig deep and ask yourself, okay, how many schools are there? What's the penetration of schools? Ask yourself what's the, how much does the government spend? And it's not just schools, obviously. Schools can also be further split into primary, secondary, and even, college education as well as higher education, right? So education spans. There are multiple sectors in education. There's K-12, there's higher education, there's test preparation, there is vocational training and skilling. There's so much that the education industry encompasses, right? So when you get a topic on that, make sure that you're well read, right? So that at least the next time you encounter a topic of similar nature, you have some facts and perspective already built up, right? So research is very, very important, but most important of all is to practice and learn by doing, right? Make sure that you write at least one WAT every single day for the next, I would think, at least 2 weeks. So that means that for the next 15 WATs, once you write them, then you look back and ask yourself, am I getting better at this process, right? Because the way I envisage this, every day, pick one topic, write for 20 minutes, then research for the next 40 minutes, take your essay and show it to your, family members or some mentor that whose ideas or whose judgment you respect, and get a viewpoint from him or her. And slowly but steadily, you will find that your quality of your essays is improving, right? By the time you reach maybe 15-20 essays, the topics will also start repeating. So you'll find that your research suddenly comes to your aid, right? Suddenly you're not short of ideas. And that's a great place to be in, to be frank. Okay, So those are your key imperatives, right? Make sure that you do all of this at home. Give yourself the best shot at the best B schools in our country. And just like, give yourself a very, very serious shot at, CAT 2021, evidence. Our students have, come up with flying colors in CAT 2020, 99 percentile and above scored by so many students. Just because, the CAT offerings at Unacademy, span everything, give you everything, right? Educators, the best quality of educators. In fact, Iconic gives you a personal mentor to every student, right? So that's a specific offering, very, very unique, if you ask me. It gives you access to batches, so you can prepare in groups, but you can also follow a certain schedule, right? So things are planned, things are expected, and there's enough time to practice and even ask doubts, right? You can once the classes are happening, you can also come back after the session ends, open the app up and do practice, right? Either on that topic or on the entire section, or maybe even a full length mock. So plenty of options to practice on the app, right? Well, there are two subscription plans that I want to bring your attention to. One, Plus, which gives access to educators and various batches. You can learn from the best of educators. You can practice, and you can take multiple live sessions. Iconic, on the other hand, is a very, very different offering, right? Not only does it give you everything that you get in Plus, but it also assigns a personal coach, right? Imagine having a coach who follows your performance and says, hey, I don't think you've done enough practice on these topics. Hey, I think you're weak on these areas. Why don't you improve? And here's what you can do to better your performance, right? So a personal coach who monitors every aspect of your preparation and comes up with suggestions and ideas that will help you score better, right? And batches start every week, so don't waste any more time. Even this week, we've launched so many batches. Look at this, 3 batches that started just this week, all of them geared towards CAT 2021. 2 other batches, one for CMAT and one for the PI WAT preparation for IM calls. So plenty of action happening on a daily basis on the Unacademy app. To make sure that you don't miss any of that action, all you need is to subscribe to one of these plans. Plus is obviously one of the most widely preferred options. The 12-month plan is something that gives you really, really great value. But Iconic is something that comes with that degree of personalization that you really want. Yeah. All of these, you can purchase, and make sure that you give yourself a 10% discount by using my referral code AB01. Last parting words. If you liked my thoughts, if you liked my ideas, make sure that you hit the like button. Do subscribe to our channel and share this as widely as you possibly can. Also follow us on Telegram for regular updates on classes and schedules, right? Thank you. That's my time, and you guys have a great day.